turn now to a media shipstorm over Russian vessels that were believed to be headed for Syria. At least, that's what reports would have you think.
The U.S. is tracking this Russian military cargo ship as it makes its way to Syria, carrying weapons, ammunition, and troops.
These attack helicopters that are now off the coast of the United Kingdom, coming from Russia and headed to Syria, but they're held there right now. It almost reminds me, you know, of sort of a Cuban Missile Crisis kind of moment.
Major combat elements, Larry. I'm told Air Assault Division, Combined Arms Division, the Marines from the Black Sea Fleet are on their way to Syria right now.
But Russia's defense ministry has refuted reports that any of its landing crafts are heading to Syria. This, as media coverage claimed a ship allegedly carrying helicopters to the conflict-torn country was stopped off the coast of Scotland. Republican presidential candidate Ron Paul, who has consistently condemned military intervention overseas, has dubbed such attacks and accusations as war propaganda. Here he is talking about it on the House floor today.
There's no benefit for us to be picking sides, secretly providing assistance and encouraging civil strife in an effort to effect regime change in Syria. Falsely charging the Russians with supplying military helicopters to Assad is an unnecessary provocation. Falsely blaming the Assad government for a so-called massacre perpetrated by a violent warring faction, rebel faction, is nothing more than war propaganda.
Well, for more on this, RT's Alexei Yaroshevsky has the details.
A Russian ship allegedly bound for Syria named al-Assad was stopped at the coast of Scotland by the request of the British government. Its insurance was cancelled, and despite that this has not been confirmed nor by the Russian Defense Ministry nor by anyone else, the Western media have already came up with allegations and headlines that this ship was carrying helicopters to Syria to aid Assad's regime in the conflict zone. Now, definitely this is not the first time that the Western media has come up with such allegations, because we've heard about 2 Russian ships of the Black Sea Fleet which are ready to sail towards Syria. Now, CNN and NBC and many other stations came up with their reports last week, believing that these ships were already on their way to Syria, and thus creating many concerns in the West, especially that Russia would be aiding Assad's regime in the conflict. Now, Russia has been firmly denying all such accusations, saying that it's not been taking any sides, and that the fact that those 2 ships will be probably sailing to Syria, it's only to protect the Russian base in the town of Tartus, one of the only Russian bases remaining in that region, which has a very serious strategic importance for Moscow. The Western media, again, especially in the US, made a huge story out of it that Russia is supplying Assad's regime with weaponry, but it's, as I've said, not the first time. We just heard another story that some media reported that a military exercise involving Iran, Syria, China will be held somewhere in Syria in the next couple of weeks. These reports were also turned into mass hysteria by the media, saying that Russia is playing a dangerous game in the Syrian backyard. But this also has already been denounced by the Russian Defense Ministry, which said that no such games are possible in a conflict zone, which Syria certainly is at the moment. So this is definitely an all-out information war, not something we are completely not used to. We just have to wait and see what other stories and what other sensations will the Western media produce. As I've said, Russia has been denying any involvement in supplying Assad's regime with weaponry, and firmly stands on its position that it's not taking any sides and that it's not doing anything wrong from the international point of view.
That was RT correspondent Alexei Yaroshevsky.